don't believe this will come to me unless I control it. But when you relax, you declare, I trust that what is mine is already making its way to me. That shift in energy changes everything. Suddenly, instead of vibrating with tension, you vibrate with ease. And ease is magnetic. People feel it, opportunities sense it, and life arranges itself to meet you there. Forcing is rooted in fear. Flowing is rooted in trust. Forcing believes that if you don't grab tightly, everything will slip away. Flowing knows that what belongs to you can never be taken from you. Forcing feels like running on a treadmill that never stops. No matter how fast you run, you remain in the same place. Flowing feels like walking through a beautiful garden, trusting that every flower blooms in its own time. You don't have to demand the rose to open. It simply unfolds because that is its nature. When you choose to stop forcing, you release the need for control. You understand that there are greater forces working on your behalf. Forces of timing, alignment, synchronicity, and unseen possibilities. You begin to believe that there are doors waiting to open for you that you could not have pried open with all your effort. Flowing allows those doors to swing open in perfect timing, in ways that feel natural and joyful rather than heavy and stressful. There is a certain peace that comes when you decide to flow. It is the peace of knowing that you don't have to carry everything on your shoulders. You don't have to figure it all out at once. You don't have to have every answer today. Flowing invites patience, and patience is not about waiting endlessly. It is about trusting that everything you need is already moving towards you. The universe is never late. It always delivers exactly when it should. Consider water. Water never forces its way through stone, and yet over time it carves valleys, shapes mountains, and nourishes the land. Water flows, and in its flowing it creates miracles. Be like water, gentle, persistent, trusting. Flowing doesn't mean you do nothing. It doesn't mean you sit and wait passively. It means you take inspired steps, and then you allow space for life to support you. You follow your intuition. You take the opportunities that feel right, and then you release the worry of how it will all come together. Forcing is like grasping tightly to a rope. The tighter you grip, the more your hands hurt. Flowing is like opening your palm and allowing life to place blessings gently into your hand. Which one feels lighter? Which one feels more loving toward yourself? You deserve a life that feels good. You deserve to walk through your days with ease and grace. You deserve to know that nothing meant for you will ever pass you by. You do not need to chase love. It is already seeking you. You do not need to beg for abundance. It is already flowing to you. You do not need to struggle for healing. Your body and mind already know how to restore themselves when you allow peace. Each time you feel yourself forcing, take a breath and say, I release, I trust, I allow. These words are like keys that unlock the flow. They remind your mind and body that it is safe to let go. They remind your heart that it is safe to believe. They remind your spirit that it is safe to receive. Life was never meant to be a battle. Life was meant to be a dance. A dance between your desires and the unfolding of the universe. A dance between your energy and the timing of all things. A dance that feels light and joyful, not heavy and hard. When you stop forcing and start flowing, you finally learn the steps to this dance. You move in harmony with life, and life moves in harmony with you. So let this be your practice of release the pressure, soften the grip, trust the timing, and allow yourself to flow. Everything you desire is already on its way. You don't need to push, you don't need to struggle, and you don't need to force. You only need to relax, believe, and let yourself be carried by the beautiful current of life. Every desire that rises in your heart is not an accident. The moment you felt the longing for love, the dream of abundance, the hope for healing, or the vision of a new beginning, something greater than you had already whispered yes. Life never plants a seed within you without also providing the soil for it to grow. Your desires are not empty wishes. They are promises of what is possible, invitations to trust in what has already been prepared for you. When you want something deeply, you sometimes wonder, is this even possible for me? Am I asking for too much? But the truth is, you would not even have the thought if it were not already available to you. Every dream is proof of its own reality. The universe never teases you with ideas it cannot fulfill. If you see it in your mind, it already exists in the unseen. The yes has already been spoken. Your only task is to align with it. Think about the times in your past when you wished for something and it came into your life in ways you could never have predicted. At the time, you may have doubted. You may have thought it was impossible. And yet somehow the job showed up, the person appeared, the healing happened. That was not coincidence, it was confirmation. The yes was already there, waiting for you to believe in it. When you understand this, you stop begging and pleading. You stop feeling like you need to prove your worthiness. You begin to realize that you are already worthy simply because you exist. You don't need to work harder to convince life to bless you. The blessing is already yours. You don't need to chase love. Love is already circling around you. You don't need to beg for prosperity. Prosperity has already been spoken over you. The yes has already been declared. This is where trust comes in. Trust is the bridge between desire and manifestation. Trust is the state of knowing that what you long for is not only possible, but already true in another realm. When you trust, you align your energy with the yes. When you doubt, you create resistance that delays it. The yes never disappears, but your openness to it does. Trust reopens the door. Imagine standing in front of a locked door. You knock, you cry, you beg, and you believe that no one is listening. Yet the truth is, the door was never locked. All along, it was waiting for you to simply turn the handle and step inside. That is how the universe works. The yes has been waiting. The path has been cleared, but you must believe enough to open the door. Belief is powerful. Belief is not pretending, it is remembering. Remembering that your good is already prepared. Remembering that what you desire is not outside of you, but already woven into your future. When you believe, you carry yourself differently. You stop acting like someone in lack, and you begin to act like someone who is already abundant, already loved, already healed. That energy draws your yes closer because you are no longer blocking it with fear. Sometimes the yes doesn't arrive in the way you expect. You might imagine it will come through a certain person, a certain job, or at a certain time. But the universe is always wiser than our plans. The yes may arrive through a stranger, through a sudden opportunity, or through a redirection that feels like a loss, but is really a blessing in disguise. Just because the yes looks different from what you pictured doesn't mean it isn't real. It means life has found an even better way to bring it to you. This is why patience is important. Impatience says, it's not here yet, so maybe it's not coming. Patience says, it is already mine. I just can't see it yet. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, you trust the soil, and you wait for it to bloom. Your desires work the same way. The moment you asked, the yes was given. Now it's only a matter of allowing it to bloom in divine timing. So, relax your heart, breathe. Let go of the pressure to make everything happen by force. Remind yourself that the universe has already said yes. Every morning, wake up and declare, I am open to receiving what is already mine. I am ready for the blessings that have already been prepared for me. I say yes to my yes. You don't have to live in struggle. You don't have to doubt if you're deserving. The truth is simply you are, and because you are, the yes has already been spoken. Your job is not to chase, but to align, not to force, but to allow, not to question, but to trust. And as you trust, you will see that life was always on your side. The yes was always waiting. And the more you open your heart to it, the more you will discover that everything you desire has already been granted, already unfolding, already yours. One of the greatest sources of stress in life is the belief that everything must happen by a certain time. We set deadlines for ourselves. By this age, I should be married. By this time, I should be successful. By this year, I should have it all figured out. And when those self-imposed timelines don't unfold as planned, we feel like failures. We compare ourselves to others, wondering why they seem ahead while we feel behind. But life is not a race, and your path is not supposed to look like anyone else's. The truth is that when you let go of timelines, you free yourself to receive what is meant for you in the most perfect way. Timelines are created by the mind, but timing is guided by the universe. Your mind wants to control, to measure, predict. It wants to know exactly when your desire will arrive, so it can feel safe. But the universe works on a different rhythm. It sees a bigger picture than you can. It knows what must align, what must be prepared, and what must be cleared before your blessing arrives. When you cling to rigid timelines, you often block the very thing you're waiting for because your energy is filled with impatience and frustration. But when you release the clock and trust the unfolding, you allow life to deliver your desires in ways beyond your imagination. Think about a flower. You can plant the seed, water it, and give it sunlight. But no matter how much you want it to bloom, it will not open before its season. If you try to force it open, you damage the petals. But if you trust the natural process, one day the bud unfolds, and the beauty takes your breath away. That is how life works with your dreams. They bloom in their own divine season. Your role is not to rush the bloom, but to nurture your faith. When you let go of timelines, you begin to enjoy the journey rather than obsess over the destination. You start to see the lessons, the growth, the experiences you are gaining along the way. You realize that delays are not punishments, they are preparation. Sometimes you are not being denied, you are being refined. Life is shaping you into the person who can hold and sustain the blessing you are asking for. If it came too soon, it might slip through your fingers. Waiting is often protection. Releasing timelines also helps you release comparison. You stop measuring yourself against others because you understand that your story is unique. Just as no two trees grow at the exact same pace, no two lives unfold in the exact same order. Someone else may bloom earlier, but that doesn't mean your turn isn't coming. Your season is your season, and when it arrives, it will be perfect for you. Patience becomes your greatest ally when you let go of timelines. Patience is not passive, it is powerful. It is the energy of deep trust. It says, I know it's on the way. I don't need to force it. I don't need to beg for it. I don't need to doubt it. I will simply live my life, take inspired action, and allow it to arrive when the time is right. That energy of trust makes the waiting lighter, more joyful, and often even shorter. You may look back one day and realize that the timing you once resisted was actually the greatest gift. The job you get led you to an even better opportunity. The relationship that didn't happen when you wanted made space for someone far more aligned. The delay you cursed was the very thing that set up your breakthrough. Life knows more than you do. Trusting timing means trusting that there is a wisdom greater than your own guiding your path. Letting go of timelines doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means releasing the need to control when and how they unfold. It means holding your vision with love while also allowing space for the universe to surprise you. It means surrendering the calendar and opening your heart to possibility. Whenever you feel yourself becoming anxious about time, pause and remind yourself, I am exactly where I need to be. Nothing meant for me will ever pass me by. My life is unfolding perfectly, even if I cannot yet see the plan. These words soften the grip of urgency. They remind you that you are safe, guided, and supported. There is no behind in life. There is no late. There is only perfect timing. Each moment is preparing you for the next. Each delay is shaping you into someone wiser, stronger, and more ready. When you stop pressuring yourself with timelines, you open to a deeper peace. You begin to live fully in the present, and that is where the real joy is. So breathe. Release the calendar from your heart. Stop rushing yourself. Trust that everything you desire is already on its way, arriving not a moment too soon and not a moment too late. The timing is perfect because you are exactly where you are meant to be. So many people go through life believing they have to earn their place in the world. They think they must constantly prove their value, achieve more, give more, or sacrifice more in order to deserve love, abundance, or peace. But true worthiness is not something you fight for. It is not something you earn. Worthiness is something you are born with. It is your natural state, your birthright. To rest in worthiness is to finally release the exhausting search for approval and to remember that you are already enough, just as you are. From the moment you entered this world, you carried within you a spark of infinite value. Nothing you have done and nothing you will ever do can take that away. Yet over time, through the words of others, through comparison, through rejection, and through fear, you may have begun to believe a lie, that somehow you are less than, not good enough, not lovable, not deserving. But those are only illusions created by experiences, not the truth of your soul. Your worth has never wavered. Resting in worthiness means you no longer fight to be seen. You no longer chase after love or validation from people who cannot give it. You no longer attach your value to achievements, money, titles, or appearances. Instead, you choose to sit in the quiet, knowing I am worthy simply because I exist. This quiet confidence radiates more strongly than any mask you could wear because it comes from within. When you rest in worthiness, you stop accepting less than you deserve. You stop staying in relationships that drain you. You stop working in jobs that diminish you. You stop saying yes when your heart is crying no. Worthiness becomes your compass, guiding you toward what uplifts, what nourishes, what expands your spirit. You no longer settle for crumbs when you know you were created for a full feast. The beautiful thing about worthiness is that when you truly believe it, life reflects it back to you. You attract people who honor and respect you. You receive opportunities that align with your talents and passions. You experience abundance in ways that feel natural and joyful. It is not because life suddenly decided to bless you. It is because you finally allowed yourself to receive what was waiting all along. Resting in worthiness also heals the part of you that has been at war with yourself. It quiets the inner critic, the voice that tells you you're too much or not enough. It replaces judgment with compassion, harshness with gentleness, fear with love. When you are rooted in worthiness, you treat yourself with kindness. You forgive your mistakes. You honor your needs. You give yourself permission to rest, to enjoy. to celebrate life without guilt. There is a softness that comes when you know you are worthy. You no longer need to strive endlessly to prove your importance. You no longer measure your value against the achievements of others. You no longer hide parts of yourself to be accepted. You simply live, fully and authentically, knowing that you are already whole. Imagine laying down a heavy burden you have carried for years. That burden is the belief that you must do more to deserve love, that you must change yourself to be accepted, that you must constantly earn your place. Now imagine placing that burden on the ground and walking away free and light. That is what it feels like to rest in worthiness. It is freedom. It is peace. When doubts creep in, as they sometimes will, remind yourself gently, I am worthy of love. I am worthy of abundance. I am worthy of joy. I am worthy of peace. Let those words sink deep into your being. Repeat them until they feel natural, until they become your truth. Because they are your truth. The more you affirm it, the more you dissolve the false beliefs that once kept you small. You do not have to wait for someone else to tell you that you are worthy. You do not have to wait for a certain income, a certain relationship, or a certain milestone. You are worthy right now, in this very breath, in this very moment. Nothing is missing from you. Nothing needs to be fixed. The light within you has always been enough. So rest. Rest from the striving. Rest from the proving. Rest from the endless chase for validation. Allow yourself to settle into the deep, unshakable knowing that you are valuable beyond measure. Live from that place. Make choices from that place. Love yourself from that place. And watch how life responds, because when you rest in worthiness, the world begins to mirror back the beauty and abundance that have always belonged to you. There is a part of us that wants to control everything. We want to know how things will unfold, when they will arrive, and exactly what steps will lead us to the outcome we desire. We cling, we push, we plan, we strategize, believing that the more control we hold, the more secure we will feel. And yet, the more we cling, the more anxious and exhausted we become. Life begins to feel like an endless struggle, as though we are fighting against a tide that will not turn. But something magical happens the moment we decide to release the grip. When we surrender, we step into a deeper kind of power. Surrender does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop caring about your dreams or that you no longer take action. Surrender means you recognize that there are forces greater than you. Timing, alignment, unseen opportunities that are already at work on your behalf. It means you allow life to guide you instead of exhausting yourself trying to control every detail. Surrender is not weakness, surrender is trust. And trust is powerful. When you surrender, you soften. You move from a place of tension to a place of openness. Instead of forcing outcomes, you allow them. Instead of obsessing over what you cannot control, you focus on what you can. Your energy, your actions, your beliefs. You shift from fear to faith. You begin to say, I do not need to have all the answers right now. I choose to trust that what is meant for me will find me in the right way, at the right time. That kind of faith creates space for miracles to enter. Think about the times in your life when something wonderful happened unexpectedly. You may not have planned it. You may not have seen it coming. And yet, it arrived perfectly, as though life had arranged every detail behind the scenes. That is the power of surrender. It opens you up to possibilities far beyond what your mind could have orchestrated. Surrender also brings peace. When you are constantly trying to control everything, your mind never rests. You worry, you analyze, you imagine worst-case scenarios. But when you surrender, you lay down the heavy burden of trying to manage the entire universe on your own. You realize you were never meant to carry all of it. There is relief in saying, I don't know how this will work out, but I trust that it will. In that moment, peace begins to settle into your heart. There is also strength in surrender because it requires courage. It takes courage to let go of control. It takes courage to trust when you cannot yet see the outcome. It takes courage to release your grip and believe that life is guiding you towards something good. But the more you practice surrender, the more you discover that it does not diminish you. It empowers you. You begin to feel supported by something greater, as though the weight you once carried alone is now being lifted with you. Imagine holding tightly to a rope. The tighter you pull, the more your hands ache. You believe that if you let go, everything will fall apart. But what if, when you finally released the rope, you realized you were never in danger? What if you discovered that life was already holding you, that you were safe all along? That is what surrender feels like. It is the release of unnecessary suffering, the return to trust, the awareness that you are supported. Surrender does not mean you stop dreaming. It means you hold your dreams with open hands instead of clenched fists. You take inspired action, but you release the obsession with the outcome. You still set intentions, but you allow space for them to unfold in ways you might not expect. You stop demanding that life follow your script and instead let life surprise you with something even better. Every time you surrender, you strengthen your connection to the present moment. Control lives in the future. It is always worrying about what's next. But surrender brings you back to now. And in the now there is peace. In the now there is clarity. In the now there is enough. From that place of presence, you can hear your intuition more clearly, feel your inner wisdom more deeply, and take steps that feel aligned instead of frantic. You were never meant to carry every detail, every burden, every outcome. You were meant to live in trust, to co-create with life, to let yourself be guided by a wisdom far beyond your own. When you surrender, you stop exhausting yourself with resistance and instead begin to move with the flow of life. And in that flow, things often come together faster, easier, and more beautifully than you ever imagined. So take a deep breath, release the need to control every detail. Let go of the timelines, the worries, the fears. Whisper to yourself, I surrender. I trust. I allow life to guide me. Feel the peace that comes when you remember you are not alone. That is not weakness. That is true power. And the more you live in that power, the more you discover that surrender was never the end of control. It was the beginning of freedom. Affirming the truth is not about repeating empty words or pretending life is perfect when it feels heavy. It is about choosing, in each moment, to align with the deeper reality that already exists within you. The truth is that you are enough. The truth is that you are loved. The truth is that you are connected to a universe that wants you to thrive. But so often, we live by the false stories we were handed. The stories of unworthiness, of limitation, of lack. These stories were never the truth, yet we believed them because they were repeated. Now it is your turn to repeat the truth until it feels real, until it becomes the foundation you stand on. When you affirm the truth, you remind yourself that you are not separate from the good you desire. You do not have to beg for abundance, love, or healing. You do not need to prove yourself worthy of joy. The truth is, life is always flowing towards you, offering opportunities, guidance, and miracles. The only thing that blocks it is the wall of disbelief, the inner voice that says, not me. Not now. And so, every time you affirm the truth, you dissolve a little more of that wall. You open the gates, and the flow of life rushes in. Affirmations are not magic spells. They are declarations of what is already true, even if your outer world has not yet caught up. When you say, I am abundant, you are not lying. You are aligning with the truth that abundance is your natural state. Look around, life itself is abundant. There are countless stars in the sky, grains of sand on the shore, breaths you take without effort. How could you be an exception? The truth is, abundance is woven into your being. It flows as freely as your breath, and when you affirm it, you step back into that natural rhythm. The same is true with love. You were created from love. You are sustained by love, and you radiate love simply by existing. The only time you feel unloved is when you step out of alignment with that truth, when you believe the stories of rejection, abandonment, or not enoughness. But you can always return by affirming, I am worthy of love. I am love itself. Feel those words as you speak them. Notice how your body softens, your heart lifts, and your spirit opens. This is not wishful thinking. This is truth remembered. Sometimes the mind will resist. It will whisper, but I don't see the evidence. My life doesn't reflect this truth yet. That is when you must remember that the outer world is always the last to change. Your inner alignment always comes first. When you affirm the truth consistently, you plant seeds. You water them with faith, and over time, they sprout into visible reality. The fruit does not appear the moment you plant the seed. But if you keep affirming the truth, if you keep nourishing it, the harvest always comes. Every day, you are affirming something. With every thought and word, you are creating. If you say, I can't, that is an affirmation. If you say, nothing works out for me, that too is an affirmation. The universe doesn't question whether you mean it or not. It simply mirrors it back. This is why choosing your affirmations consciously is so powerful. You are reclaiming your role as a co-creator with life. You are declaring that you will no longer affirm the lies, the fears, or the limitations. You will affirm only what is real, what is eternal, what is aligned with love. The truth is that you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. Every time you affirm this truth, you shift your vibration higher. You begin to attract people, opportunities, and situations that reflect that worthiness back to you. Your life becomes lighter, more graceful, and more abundant. It is not because the world suddenly changes. It is because you remembered who you are, and the world responded to your remembering. Affirm the truth until it feels like second nature. Affirm it when you wake up, when doubt arises, when fear whispers, when you feel tempted to give up. Say to yourself, I am enough, I am safe, I am loved, I am guided, I am abundant, I am free. These are not just words, they are keys. They unlock the door to the life that has always been waiting for you. Do not wait for proof before you believe. Believe first, affirm first, and the proof will always come. The universe is listening. Your body is listening. Your heart is listening. Speak only the truth, and let that truth set you free. You were never meant to struggle under the weight of lies. You were meant to shine, to expand, to live fully in the beauty of who you are. And the more you affirm the truth, the brighter that light becomes, not only for you, but for everyone who is touched by your presence. Affirm the truth today, tomorrow, and every day. It is already yours. It has always been yours. All that is left is for you to remember.
Elige ser libre, no prisionero. La mayoría no se da cuenta de que vive atado, hasta que intenta soltarse. Hay hábitos que parecen inofensivos, pero te tienen más atrapado de lo que imaginas. Mirar el teléfono antes de levantarte y perder una hora que nunca vuelve. Quedarte viendo series hasta la madrugada para despejarte y luego quejarte de no tener energía. Aceptar una y otra vez salir con gente que no aporta nada, solo por miedo a quedarte solo. La prisión no siempre son barrotes de hierro. A veces es el sillón cómodo que no te deja moverte, la nevera llena de comida que sabes que te hace daño, o esa persona que cada vez que te acercas apaga tu entusiasmo. Y lo más cruel es que muchas veces tú mismo entregaste las llaves de esa celda. No se trata de vivir bajo represión ni de castigarte, sino de tomar una decisión radical: recuperar el timón. La verdadera libertad se demuestra cuando, aunque la costumbre te empuje hacia un abismo conocido, eliges un rumbo diferente. Pregúntate, ¿qué cosas hoy tienen más control sobre mí del que deberían? El día que rompes esa cadena, descubres que no solo ganas tiempo y energía, ganas dignidad. Porque nada ni nadie merece más poder sobre tu vida que tú mismo. 2. Simplifica tu entorno para liberar tu mente. El desorden físico es un ladrón silencioso. Cada pila de ropa que no guardas, cada cajón que no se abre de lo lleno que está, cada archivo perdido en tu computadora, es una pequeña voz que te recuerda: aún tienes cosas sin resolver. Y aunque creas que te acostumbraste, en realidad, ese ruido visual drena tu energía y te roba enfoque. Un escritorio atestado de papeles es como una mente saturada. No sabes por dónde empezar. Una habitación donde todo está fuera de lugar no te invita a descansar, sino a sentir que siempre hay algo pendiente. Incluso tu teléfono puede ser un caos disfrazado de orden. Cientos de fotos que nunca revisas, aplicaciones que ni usas, notificaciones que interrumpen cualquier intento de concentración. Y lo más duro es que ese desorden externo muchas veces refleja el interno. Un espacio caótico es un espejo de una mente dispersa. Pero aquí viene lo positivo. Al ordenar fuera, empiezas a ordenar dentro. Tirar, donar o eliminar lo que ya no sirve no es solo un acto práctico, es un acto simbólico de desapego y claridad. No se trata de vivir en una casa de revista, sino de crear un entorno que no te empuje al agotamiento, sino a la calma. Pregúntate, ¿qué cosas en mi espacio están ocupando lugar y drenando mi energía sin que me dé cuenta? El día que simplificas tu entorno, dejas de pelear con él y por fin tienes espacio físico y mental para enfocarte en lo que realmente importa. Tercera estrategia: aprende a decir no con firmeza. Aquí caemos todos. Decir sí es más fácil, es rápido, evita incomodidades y, por un momento, hace que todo parezca más sencillo. Pero cada vez que aceptas algo que no quieres o no necesitas, le estás diciendo no a lo que realmente importa: tu tiempo, tu descanso, tus metas. Y eso tiene un costo alto, aunque al principio no lo notes. ¿Cuántas veces aceptaste salir con gente que ni te cae bien solo para no quedar como el raro? ¿Cuántas veces dijiste sí a un favor que te dejó agotado y atrasó tus propios planes? ¿Cuántas horas regalaste en reuniones, chats o compromisos que no sumaron nada a tu vida? Esa acumulación de sí innecesarios es uno de los mayores ladrones de orden y energía. Decir no no es crueldad, es protección. Es entender que tu tiempo es un recurso limitado y que quien lo desperdicia lo agota para siempre. Es tener el valor de establecer límites, incluso si a otros no les gusta. Un no a lo que te drena es un sí a lo que te construye. Pregúntate, ¿cuántos de mis problemas actuales existen porque dije sí cuando debí decir no? La próxima vez que la vida te ponga a elegir, recuerda: tu paz y tu enfoque valen más que la aprobación momentánea de cualquiera. Y la gente que de verdad te respeta, respetará también tus límites. Poner tu vida en orden es completamente posible y no requiere esperar a un gran momento de inspiración. Comienza con gestos sencillos, repetidos día tras día, que poco a poco te devuelven el equilibrio. Levantarte temprano para ganar tiempo para ti, mantenerte enfocado en medio de las distracciones o responder con calma y amabilidad, incluso cuando las cosas no salen como esperabas. Cada una de esas acciones es un ladrillo que fortalece tu carácter y construye la vida que quieres. La verdadera transformación no llega de golpe, sino que se forja en esas pequeñas decisiones que, sumadas, crean un cambio profundo. Es la constancia lo que convierte lo ordinario en extraordinario. Cada elección consciente es una declaración de que estás comprometido contigo mismo, con tu bienestar y con tu futuro. Y cuando ese compromiso se vuelve parte de tu rutina, el orden deja de ser un objetivo lejano y se convierte en tu forma natural de vivir. Cuarta estrategia. Establece prioridades diarias y cúmplelas. La clave para poner tu vida en orden no está en hacerlo todo, sino en hacer lo que realmente importa. Cada mañana, decide cuáles serán esas 3 acciones esenciales que, al completarlas, te harán sentir que el día valió la pena. No tienen que ser gigantescas, pero sí deben tener un impacto real en tu vida y en tus metas. Cuando trabajas con prioridades claras, eliminas la dispersión. Empiezas a avanzar con dirección, no por inercia. Cada tarea cumplida se convierte en una victoria que fortalece tu confianza y tu disciplina. Es un recordatorio de que tienes el poder de influir en tu día, en lugar de dejar que el día te arrastre. Este enfoque transforma tu manera de vivir. Dejas de sentirte abrumado por una lista infinita y empiezas a experimentar la satisfacción de cerrar cada jornada sabiendo que lo más importante está hecho. Con el tiempo, esas pequeñas victorias diarias se acumulan y construyen un cambio profundo y duradero. Así es como, paso a paso, conviertes el orden en un hábito y el hábito en una nueva forma de vida. Quinta estrategia. Alimenta tu mente con lo que quieres cosechar. Tu mente es como un terreno fértil. Lo que siembras en ella, crece. Si a diario la llenas de ruido, quejas y negatividad, eso es lo que terminarás viendo en tu vida. Si en cambio la nutres con ideas que te inspiren, conversaciones que te eleven y contenidos que te impulsen, comenzarás a pensar y a